Welcome back, guys. James Hill, founder and CEO of Black Millionaires.
And this is the Chaplain of the Culture, here to expand ideas and grind your gears.
Yes. So, Netflix, did you watch the show Beauty in the Black?
No, I have not, but I've heard good things.
Yes. So, I came home one day, Beauty in the Black was on. So, I started watching it. I didn't finish it. I cut it off. I mean, it's not saying it's a bad movie or a bad series or whatever, but I didn't finish it. But obviously, I always give Tyler Perry's.
Yeah, because he doesn't always get his flowers.
I always give Tyler Perry whatever I'm watching, and they say it's produced by Tyler Perry. I give it I give it a few 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. I don't watch TV and stuff like that a lot anyway, but I gave this a shot. It was pretty good. But I say that to say because one of their actors, their main actors, Julian Horton, he says he was driving Uber with only $500 to his name before his breakout role in the Netflix hit series Tyler Perry, Beauty in the Black. Now, I know you went to acting school and you are in all of that. I don't look at myself as a creative or an entertainer. I look at myself as a marketer. So I want to ask you, like, when you hear stories like this, is this inspirational to you? What do you think? Like, what do you think when you hear stories like this?
It's actually a story that's not unfamiliar.
Yes.
There's a lot of people say like I was a waiter and then ABC called me, or I was, serving a drink and I had to leave that shift because my life was about to change. Right? So there are people who have those stories. Now, I'm not sure if they're always so like public about it or upfront.
Most of the industry is like this. I mean, let's just, not acting, but I mean entertainment. Ari Lennox says she was like working at Wendy's or one of these places when J. Cole and them called her, and she was scared to quit because she didn't know if she was actually going to be able to sustain herself and like live. Summer Walker said she had like a part-time job.
You took it out my head.
Yes. But okay. Before I got in business, I used to look at these stories and be like, yes, more people need to share these stories. But now, as a businessman, as a person who works in the media, a person who negotiates, I think this does more harm to a lot of actors and entertainers' careers than it actually does justice. And particularly with black actors, because I think it's always a little too early. So I think you share this 10 years down the line when you won the Oscar, when you won the Grammy, when you made 15, 20 million dollars. You don't share this after your first breakout hit because your first breakout hit, you don't get paid that much for it.
So are you saying like you kind of like fake it till you make it?
Yes.
Type?
Well, you don't have to fake it like you rich, but just shut up. Like just don't say nothing. That's when
I could see this discouraging because here's the thing: when you're acting, you have a network. It's not just you, right? So it's your agent, it's your publicist,
directors.
It's right, and so you also don't want to cast a bad shadow on your projects or your future projects.
Yes.
So you don't want people to feel like, oh, I can pay you this amount of money. Because you just said that you had.
It's like your ex. It's like your boyfriend asking you about your ex-boyfriend, and you telling him all the things your ex-boyfriend got away with, and basically you're telling him what he can get away with if he's slightly better than him.
Yeah.
Like, no, don't do that because it ruins your chances of that person exposing who they really are. Right.
And here's the thing: with these type of roles, they're coveted.
Yes.
So like. I feel like what you were explaining was like bare minimum. Like they're trying to give you the bare minimum without the sob story.
Yes.
They're already going in trying to figure out where they can finesse. So that's another thing too. Like you don't want to like give them that much of ammo.
Giving them too much ammo because let's say I'm your you just in the Beauty in the Black or whatever. You breakout artist and you say, oh, I was broke. I had $500. Now I'm your agent. I'm trying to go and negotiate your next role. I'm trying to go negotiate with Kellogg, with all of these big brands and say, She need $1 million. Look at her social media analytics. Look at this. Look at that. They're not trying to hear none of that. You know what they gonna bring up? She said she had $500. She should take this 50,000. What do you mean you don't want to take 50,000 for a collaboration?
Yeah.
Just to promote a brand. Why would you turn that down? With 6 months ago, you was just driving Uber.
And that's the thing in any business, and I really don't like it, but I'm going to tell a very quick story. Image is important.
Yes.
So when I was first in the mortgage industry, and we were all, like I told you, we did a cohort group. So we were all in a cohort group because we were going to be these loan officers, right?
Yeah.
But we had to take a test. Now, there was no dress code. I always had a suit on. Okay. Every time. And when it came, I passed my test on the first time. When it came to, okay, now you guys are going to do this role, I had more negotiating chips because I passed my test at the first time. I was very professional. Like, we were all young kids, but I wasn't carrying myself like that. So when it was time for me to say, no, I actually don't want to do that.
Yes.
You know what came up? You know, it is interesting. You always wear a suit every day.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes,
that matters.
I actually want to go into, my background's in finance, so I want to go into finance because I felt like it was more of a transferable skill. Once I get out of here, I could go to any bank or, non-depository or anything like that, and I would still have those skills.
Yes.
The mortgage industry is up and down. Y'all told us this.
Exactly. And a lot about life is not about who's wrong, who's right, who got the most money. It's about leverage. So once you understand that, you get a lot better at business, you get a lot better at negotiating, and you get a lot better at decision making because you will start realizing that a lot of the things that I put on my social media, a lot of the stuff that I joke about online, there's a track record in the trail, right? And a lot of my lawyer friends say stuff like, They be telling me stuff like that, like, man, y'all don't know the half how these people, marriages be getting destroyed and dudes be losing all their money because they're sitting in front of the judge saying, no, judge, I didn't cheat, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And then we audit their Instagram DMs, we audit their Twitter, we audit this, and we just show all that evidence. Now the jury is looking at them as not a credible source, and they could have just told the truth, and they might have came out better because you put everything on the table, but they lost the leverage, right? They lost that leverage because they lost their credibility. And a lot what you were talking about, dressing professional, all that does is bring your credibility up. That gives you leverage, so now you can negotiate a little different versus the guy that comes in halfway, sagging his pants, late to work, failed his test 2-3 times, because I passed my mortgage test on the first, so I understand exactly what you went through. And a lot of people from my cohort didn't make it to theirs because they didn't have that. They had a stigma around them that carried them to the banking floor, and a lot of good directors didn't want to work with them. They like, I don't want this guy. Like, they were like arguing, like, I want him. I want him on my team because I show up every day, suit and tie, whatever. But,
ready to work.
But a lot of times, what people don't realize is perception becomes your reality.
Yes.
So, like, let me give another good example. It's a lot of women online, right, that every time they date publicly. So it comes across as if she's a 304 because every time, like, let's say Kim Kardashian, for example. Every time she dates somebody, we know who she dates.
That's probably not the best example, though.
I know, but my point is, every time she dates somebody, we know who she dates. So it seems like she's just the biggest, whatever, get around in the industry. But if she never posted that,
then it wouldn't look like.
It's other women that has that mystique about them that we cherish and be like, oh man, like, Taylor Swift, this is the first time we ever seen her pop out. Beyonce, we only know her for Jay-Z. They could literally be sleeping with the same amount of people around the industry, and we just didn't know it. So we look at them and we value them a little bit more because they have leverage and credibility.
You know who's a great example of that? Ashanti. It seemed like Ashanti only went out with one person.
She's been how many people? She was with.
She was with Nelly.
Obviously,
right? And then they broke up, and then he dated Miss Jackson.
She messed around with what is his name? The dude, he just died.
He just okay.
He was her producer, and he just always talked about every time he got on the podcast. He talked about the time they messed around.
I was about to say they probably messed around, but it wasn't like
they didn't date.
Yeah, they weren't like
dating.
dating.
But he clearly slept with her.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is, if it wasn't for him saying that, we wouldn't have known.
Yes, she has that halo over her, like, oh, she's great. Mind
whatever. You, she was with Nelly for like 9 years. There was another like 9-year gap.
Yeah.
And then came back with Nelly. So she's a huge. You think she wasn't with nobody for 9 years?
Exactly. But that's my point.
Yes.
When people share stories about being broke and all of this, you're exposing your card. So now when you go around, I just got the perception that even though you got a few dollars in your pocket, you broke.
Yeah.
And if I look at you as broke, it's like I know you ain't got the money. Mm-hmm. It was this guy. He hosts a podcast. I forgot his name, but he was telling a story about how one of his mentors taught him how to negotiate. Mm. So he used to sell T-shirts at the mall. Like he had a booth. You know, you had one of those little booths, and you sell T-shirts at the mall. So he's selling his T-shirts for $10, right? So he had like another side business another like service that he do on the side. Now, this rich dude reached out to him and said, hey, I need you to do some work for me. What's your price? He sent him this big, he knew who he was, and he sent him this big invoice or whatever. So the rich dude looked him up, and he wanted to work with him, and he realized, like, oh, you're at the mall? I'm going to just come up to the mall.
Okay.
The rich dude comes up to the mall and say, hey, man, I got that invoice from you. You know, you wanted like $4,000, but, me and my team was thinking, we'll offer you $15,000 for this and for the scope of work or whatever. So he's sitting there like shook, like trying to negotiate, but he can't really negotiate because he's at work running that. And then he said, how long is it going to take you to do he said, how long is it going to take you to do the job? The dude said, probably about 10 hours. So he said, oh, so you making like $150 an hour doing what I want you to do. He said, dude, you're sitting here selling T-shirts. How much money has you made in the last hour? He like, you got a rack full of T-shirts. You have to sell all those T-shirts to make exactly what I'm trying to pay you. Yeah. And basically what he was saying is, you're exposed. I know you broke. Yeah. You're selling $10 T-shirts at the mall, and you're up here. You have no employees. Yeah. You're literally sitting up here doing this. So if
he started to do math.
He's doing the math, and this, you don't think, if he's doing that, how he got successful?
Right.
If you don't think other people are doing that, these agents and these Hollywood executives, you don't think they're doing that? Mm-hmm. They do it to Taraji. Taraji is so deep in her career, and she still be accepting $150. Why? Because she branded herself as the single mother who was waiting tables that went to Hollywood desperate trying to make it. Mm-hmm. Versus the white women that go in there, they was desperate waiting tables too. Yeah, they just shut up and they let their PR do the talking. Yeah, and then they talk about the schools they went to. Yes, and all of this.
Yeah, you gotta flower up some of the stuff that you're invested in.
Yeah, and it's just a bad look, and you leave a bad taste in people's mouth. Thank you guys for watching. In order to continue to support independent journalism, I need you to subscribe to our page below. And also, if you want the full podcast and more exclusive content, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. Link is in the description.